What's an American problem you're too European to understand? Expensive required textbooks that you have to buy to take a university class. That's not the worst part. There's classes where you have to pay for an online website, only open for the semester, just to do your homework online. Usually starts at $90. Australian here. The TV ads for prescription medication always gets me. Like really specific medication too. Not just a new over-the-counter painkiller. I think it's good to research medication if you have a condition to be informed about your options. But it's so bizarre to see ads for it in between Property Brothers episodes and ads for Taco Bell, and every one of these ads has another ad like a year later for a class action lawsuit for anyone said medication now dealing with some horrible syndrome it causes. American here. When I was studying in the UK, I had to send some financial documents back to the US. The only way these documents were considered valid was if the original was mailed in, or if I faxed a copy. When I asked the printing office if they could fax it for me, they looked at me like I was an alien, and said the school hadn't owned a fax machines for like a decade. Then they asked me if I still use a VCR. Americans still use fax machines. Ask your doctor about this drug. Ads. Honestly, that one is batshit crazy for us Americans too. While watching Chelsea vs Manchester United yesterday on NBCSN, during halftime there was a GoodRx commercial where the guy is asking a woman if she would like to fill her prescription. He pulled up the phone and showed her that the same pill can cost from $10 to $90 depending on the area, and that GoodRx can help her fill the prescription with the cheapest prices. Now someone please explain to me how in the ever-lovin' fuck is it possible for a drug to cost 10x more depending on your location? Don't they have constant prices like in the rest of the civilized world? Edit. The answers to my inquiry are even more fucked up. What the fuck, America? You're getting robbed in broad daylight. No. Prescription costs depend on what your insurance considers a fair price for it. How much they are willing to cover that cost. Only after you've met your deductible. How many doses they think you actually need, and therefore the pharmacy must oblige when filling it. And likely your home state. I cannot recount how many instances I've heard of families going bankrupt because their child is insulin dependent and they simply cannot afford it in their house at the same time. It's fucked up. Why people censor swears that are totally obvious. My favorite is when they censor G*D damn. That's not the swearing part. Lobbying. I never understand how every politician on both sides gets away with legalized bribery and everyone just accepts it. I understand the need for specialist interest groups to promote their ideas, but to be allowed to visibly finance a politician and rate their friendliness to your cause with no repercussions is insane to me. It's bribery no matter how you dress it up. There is lobbying in Europe too. We have it in Greece. That's why it costs €7 for 1.25 GB of data. I'm too European to understand how swearing and curse words are such a big deal in movies and songs. But violence and guns are taken with a grain of salt. As an American, one don't get it. As far as I'm concerned, little Jimmy on the mic has fucked my mom 5 times in the past 2 hours, but his mom won't let him listen to rap music. 30 degrees Fahrenheit 1°C. Having to remember that cars can turn on a red light. I know this is a thing. I've known this for 10 years. I still forget and nearly die every time I need to cross a road when I'm in the US ETA. I have learned many things in this comment thread, and am formally changing my answer to traffic laws varying between states. The red light turn thing still terrifies me though. If the light is green for you, that car is supposed to yield. Edit. Chill. People. I never said that you should run across the street without looking out. Everything involving cars assumes that other people will do what they are supposed to do, won't do what they're not supposed to do. And common sense and safety will assume it can be the exact opposite. My point is the rules about turning on red are as well defined as don't cross the double yellow line. But when you cross a car coming in the opposite direction, you don't stop, do you? Student debt. I pay €20 per semester tuition in Austria. Wow. I'm in a community college, the cheap option, and I pay almost $2,000 a semester, plus a couple hundred in mandatory books and supplies. The idolization of politicians. They're public servants, similar to a courthouse clerk or a city hall coordinator. They are not rock stars. You don't need to scream their name. Buy their merch. Fully commit your life to them and believe everything they say. Just treat them like public servants. Sure, they get power and position, but hold them accountable when they abuse it. Don't let corporations and politicians take over. The political system is created by the people, for the people. It just boggles the mind. I'm American and I'm also baffled and appalled by this lol. Nipples. Or in general the hypersexualization of nudity. American here. My girlfriend and I were just talking about this. Someone posted an innocent baby photo on Facebook and they censored out the nipples. We were like, it wasn't weird or sexual. But now you've gone and made it weird. Limited sick days. You truly do not understand those. I mean, if you're sick, you know, sick. I have tried, but I cannot limit the time I'm sick. I don't think a lot of people can. So YTF limit sick days? Here in the Netherlands we went, in my opinion, a bit overboard. You can be sick for 1 year. Then your employer has to pay only 70% of your salary. After 2 years they can fire you. That's a bit long. But I read somewhere about people who have 2 sick days a year. Which is the other end of ridiculous. Probably not really European but Finnish. Memes about forgetting to connect your phone to Wi-Fi. Here we have unlimited internet and it's working almost everywhere. Interesting. Tell me, what are your immigration laws like? I want an edit. I'm not American, by the way. My country, however, has been through a tough divorce and I'm disillusioned with Dad and his lies. I wanna go live with Mom, even though I've never visited before. But she seems to have better Wi-Fi right now. I hope that clears it up. While I'm on the topic of Wi-Fi, fuck you Eduro monsieur. Not European but driving manual cars. Where I'm from, most people learn stick at 16 to 18. It took me a long time to figure out what driving stick meant. In media from the US it sounds like it's something out of the ordinary that people are proud of knowing how to do. But driving manual is the default here. So I never clicked that it meant the same thing. American here. I lost a filling a few months ago. The dentist says he won't do any work until I get a deep clean. But my insurance will not pay for a deep clean, which costs about $1,800 USD. I can't afford that. So I have to go with this huge hole in my teeth until my jaw gets infected. Once that happens, it becomes a life-threatening illness that my insurance will cover. Is this anything to which you Europeans can relate? Edit. A deep clean is not the same as a regular cleaning. A regular cleaning would have been about $200 to $250 USD, and is strangely covered by my insurance. A deep clean is under the gums and will involve several shots of Novocaine. I have gotten second and third opinions and nobody wants to do work without that deep clean first. It's about liability. Nobody wants to be sued. Find a new dentist, get a second opinion. He is trying to pull one over on you. Their toilet stalls are so fucked up it's unbelievable. Huge gaps in the sides you can see people through. Huge gaps at the top and bottom. And they don't have occupied signs that show when the door is locked. I was listening to an American podcast recently where they suggested having a light above the stall to show when it's in use. They don't have a clue. Lol. Can confirm every public restroom is like this. We just figure it out by seeing feet. Australian here. Don't understand why tax isn't automatically added to price tags. That got me so irritated in the US. Living paycheck to paycheck, despite making like $4 a month. Cost of living varies wildly in different parts of the U.S. My wife and I actually made a move to a smaller city specifically for this reason. We were both working, making a combined $125,000 per year living in Chicago. Our rent was $1,600 per mo for an 800 square foot, 75 square meter basement apartment with no storage space. We did the math and we wouldn't be able to buy a home within reasonable commuting distance for at least another 15 years due to property prices. We moved 2 states over, about 400 miles, to Cleveland. My wife found a comparably paid job and I was able to work remotely. We spent a year renting a 1,600 square foot, 150 square meter, 2-bedroom apartment for $700 a month. The basement storage alone was bigger than our entire Chicago apartment for less than half the price. Going from a city of 2.7 million people to 300,000 people meant property prices dropped from the $500,000 to $1 million range to the $50,000 to $150,000 range. I was laid off from my job and we were still able to buy a duplex, 2-flat home, and have me fixing it up full-time on half of the monthly income, moving a relatively short distance by U.S. standards away drastically changed our economic situation. Now we own a car, a home, with rental income potential, and are in a good position to start a family in our late 20s, all on a single income. If we had stayed in Chicago, we wouldn't be in this position until our late 30s at the earliest. Edit. Converted Freedom units into reasonable units for our non-American friends. Edit 2 Electric Boogaloo. We were not living paycheck to paycheck before moving. I was just pointing out how geography has a great deal of power over personal finance. 21 drinking age like WHAAAAT. You can vote, go join the army, get married, have children and drive, but you're too immature to drink. In my state it's 21 to buy cigarettes now too. Edit. It's a federal law, not just individual states anymore. Paying for an ambulance, seriously, like WTF. In rural PA with a voluntary ambulance and fire department, they have subscriptions. Essentially donate $50 per year and they accept what your insurance pays. You don't have to pay the difference if there is any.